Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well today. I am thankful that you guys stopped by. I'm going to be talking about something that has just been in my spirit. I believe that the Lord has placed it there, and I want to talk with you guys about it. Now, I want you guys to be forewarned ahead of time, that you understand that on this channel, I do talk about the Lord. I do talk about the Lord Jesus Christ. But with that being said, I also give practical everyday topics. We do talk about practical counsel and advice. I am going to put the Lord in this, so it's up to you, if you're not a believer in the Lord, to take and leave what you want. If you want to spit out the bones and chew whatever meat applies to you, or not listen at all. But I just want you guys to know that. And those of you've been with me for a bit, you know how I roll, how I talk about things. And I am not telling anyone, oh, if you're not a Christian, you can't listen to this or whatever, or you are excluded. I just let you know ahead of time so you can decide what you want to do or not do. All right, so we're going to talk about this when your family betrays you. When your family betrays you, how do you deal with this? And this is a tough thing. You know, if someone is not your family member, sometimes you even have a hard time with your friends. You have loved ones, friends and people you've grown up with, right? And someone you love and care about. But when it is your family, this is a different type of pain. This is a different type of discovery. And a lot of times it's something that you don't want to believe. You know, even if you have differences, you're going to think, hey, this is my family, this person is my blood, and you may believe that they're like you, and you may look at your family and just think there's certain things you would never do to your family members, but then there may be certain things that you realize they will do to you, and more, and quickly. And it can be hard to fathom, and you want to make up excuses, but we're in a time where it's time to face the music. It's time to face reality and move forward in whatever direction you're going to go. So I want to talk with you about Joseph a little bit. I'm going to skip around because there's so much in here. And I feel like I just need to give you guys give you a little bit of background about Joseph and his brothers. Some of you already know, but there's some key points that I want to point out to discuss today. And then in your leisure, I will encourage you to read from Genesis 37, going up to like 45, 46. There's so much, this entire journey from the time that Joseph was sold by his brothers to Egypt, to when he becomes second in command from the Pharaoh, to when he's helping during the famine, all the stuff, to when all of Israel comes and they're all of Israel now comes to Egypt. They're thriving because they're Joseph's brothers, Joseph's family, and friends until the day Joseph dies. So Joseph, from what I understood, was the youngest child, and his wife had a baby. Okay? And it was Joseph. And Joseph, his father made him a coat of many colors. And Joseph wore his coat and ran around with his little brothers. And then his father also gave Joseph a special task. And the task was to, he's 17 years old here, and he had to go and see what his brothers are doing and then, tell his dad. So he's like a little tattletale, right? Because it says in 37, and Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger. And these are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Okay, and it says here, now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was a son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And so, parents, this is something that we have to be very careful of with our children. The youngest, the baby, by that time you have mellowed out a bit and they can kind of get away with things. But you must realize that sometimes when you treat your children different, it's going to spur up resentment. It's going to spur up jealousy. And just because they're the youngest doesn't mean you're supposed to just let them get away with things. And it can be something you just do, but you have to be careful, because In the meantime, you'll be ignoring your eldest. You'll be ignoring your second born if you have 3 children, and the youngest child always can see the difference in how you treat that child, how you treat them versus everybody else. And that's why sometimes they misbehave and they do the things that they do. They don't listen to their older brothers or sisters. They don't have respect because they see that they're different. So be careful with that. Now, so as I said, he'll go back and he'll tell his father what's going on. And he'd be telling. I think that was a bit much to be doing for a 17-year-old, to be honest, but it is what it is. And they hated him. His brothers hated him. Okay? So here's the thing that can happen. In this situation, we're seeing they're mad at Joseph for going and telling their dad, or telling their father what he's doing. But at the same time, that is not something that's worthy of killing him. So there had to be something else. And what do we discover? Well, they're jealous of him because the father probably babied him a little bit more. He had a coat of many colors, all these different things. We found out that Joseph started to really share all the dreams that he was getting in the visions. And he's sharing with his brothers. And the fact that he's going to them and sharing with them lets me know that Joseph was not trying to be harmful. He probably wanted to have a relationship with his brothers. He wanted to tell them things. He wanted to share with them. But they had something in their heart against him. And we know sometimes family jealousy and this animosity can come upon, it starts somewhere. All right? Sometimes it could be things that you have done and you just made them mad growing up. Right? Other times, mistakes you've made coming up. And other times, they just are the way that they are. They just treat you that way because you're you. They will do things to you that they probably wouldn't do to a stranger. Okay? There's sometimes family members, whether it's your parents, your siblings, relatives, that they will just do certain things. You have not tried to hurt them. If you did anything wrong, you've apologized. You've tried to make it right. You want your family. You care about your family, but you realize that they just have the ability to mistreat you. And so Joseph's brothers, here's the thing. It's in verse 4. It says, and when his brethren saw that their father loved him more, when Joseph's brothers saw that their father loved him more than all of them, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto them. So sometimes the thing that you may face is the way that they speak to you, the way your family addresses you. No matter how much you're trying to talk to them, they can't have peace with you, because there's something that's bothering them about you. And other times it's just an entitled mindset that you're not worthy of any respect or consideration because, you're the youngest, you're the girl in the family, maybe you're from a different mom, a different father, could be something. But whatever the situation is, sometimes it just could be you're beautiful, you're more capable. It's not every child have the exact ability to do everything. One child may be more sociable, more popular. It could be that one is better in academics than the other, better in looks than the other, better in talents and ability than the other. And that can cause jealousy. But needless to say, we see here that they could not speak peaceably with Joseph. And so what begins to happen in these family dynamics is it moves from maybe there's something in their heart. They see what Joseph's brother did. They looked and saw how the father was treating him, and they became angry. They began to do what? They entertained whatever negative feelings that they had within themselves. Okay? They hated him. They refused to speak nicely. They refused to try to make amends and make things work. And then if you go further in chapter 37 and verse 18, you see here it says, and when they, that means his brothers, saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. So sometimes what you're going to realize is that your family will conspire against you. They could conspire within themselves one to another, or they will conspire with other people who want to hurt you, who want to do you wrong. Sometimes they're family members who will get with someone that you know, and the one thing they have in common is that they are seeking your hurt and your harm. So this is why sometimes you find the family members can easily get along with somebody who has hurt you, who have cheated on you, who have lied on you, who have betrayed you, who have just done some really questionable things. And here you find the family member thick as thieves with this person. Well, a lot of times, despite what they tell you, they have something in common. And so they're willing to conspire or befriend the person or individuals that hurt you, because somewhere in their mind, they're happy that you got hurt. They did something that they probably didn't have the guts to do or couldn't have done it in that way. And so what they'll do, they'll make some excuses as to why they're keeping this person around. And now, understandably, you don't want, if you fall out with a person, it's not that you are expecting your parents to, or your siblings or relatives to hate this individual. And especially if you've done something wrong, if you're the one that's done something wrong, you should not want your parents or family to just aid you in wrongdoing. But there has to be a certain level of loyalty that there shouldn't even be a discussion about it. Like, if you have hurt my sibling, I cannot, even if I am cordial to you, I see you, hello, good morning, how you doing? We can be close where you're calling me and I'm calling you and you're coming over to me and to my house and your house, and because it sends a message. And because we're one and we're family, there's certain things that a certain line that person should not feel that they can cross with your family, against you, and vice versa. So what they begin to do, remember, something happens. They have a grudge. They begin to hate you, dislike you. They begin to entertain that within themselves, okay? And they have decided that no matter what, they're not going to keep peace with you. And then the other things are going to build on that, and now they are going to begin to conspire to do you harm, whatever that may be. Now, in this case, they got together and they decided that they were going to throw him in the pit. They're going to throw him down. First, they want to kill him. They stripped off his colorful coat off of him and they threw him down in the pit, and they planned to kill him. And only one of the brothers named Reuben said, no, let's not kill him. And then he planned to take him out of the pit later on. So they put him down in the pit, trying to figure out what they're going to do. And then what they do, they plan their next thing. These type of family members, they'll conspire. They will take action against you. They're going to put you in a pit. This could be gossip, turning people against you, isolating you from them. And in the meantime, what they're doing, when you are seeing these signs, you may still be just seeing them as your family. But what they begin to do is they begin to plot against you. They want to figure out, how can I get rid of this person? Now, granted, they can't sell you to somebody, even though in some places they do. But they may try to sell you out in different ways. They may try to out you, tell people your sensitive matters. They dog you out to people. They tell people things about you. They do things to sabotage you. They may try to tell the new person in your life something about you, share a secret with you that's devastating, or just constantly have a bit of jealousy and animosity. They can be around you, but still have this behavior. And so it says in 27, it says, come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him. So they're saying, Judah is saying, listen, let's just sell him, get some money, and we don't want to kill him. And so they agreed to do that. Okay? And so it says here in 28, then there passed by the Midianites merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph into Egypt. Now, what begins to happen, guys, as you read further on and you're reading further down, after they've done this wrong, now they have to conspire how they're going to cover up what they've done to Joseph. And so they all plan together, plot together. They go out there, they kill an animal, they spill the blood all over Joseph's stuff. And then they run home to their father saying, oh my gosh, look at what happened. We don't know what's going on. And of course, they probably just put on a big show in tears, right? And so Jacob cries. He rents his clothes. He puts sackcloth on his head, and he's mourning for his son for many days. And look who's there comforting him. His sons. It says 35 says, and all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, for I will go down into the grave unto my son, mourning. Thus his father wept for him. And so as you see here, the same people that conspired against against Joseph, plotted against him, did refuse to speak peaceably, began to conspire and talk about him, took action to get rid of him. Now they turn around and now they have to come up with a story to make themselves look good and to justify their actions, and then pretending to be, sad and mourning with their father. This is that dynamics of people that you have to kind of pull away from. And so what happens is there will be this betrayal, and I believe the scripture really condenses exactly what that betrayal will look like. Something comes up. Something is in the heart. Something is harbored by that family member or family members against you. They continue to kind of harbor those feelings. They refuse to speak peaceably with you. They don't want to have peace. They want to keep things going. And sometimes even if they're doing things, their heart is not with you. They begin to conspire among each other, whether it's within the family or they're going to conspire and begin to join hands with other people who don't like you. And then what they're going to do at this point is now they're going to take action in some way against you. Now, sometimes for some of you, action is more than actions. They've been taking actions against you for years to the point that you realize, hey, I don't have a good relationship with these individuals. Sometimes in an effort to keep the peace, to keep that relationship, you've allowed some things to happen. You've allowed yourself to be treated a certain way. You've tried to see and understand why they might be doing this. It could be this, maybe it's that. Joseph could have been thinking, they've been out here in the field, it's hot, they are getting more work than I'm getting, I am wearing the coat of many colors, maybe it's my fault. That's what you're going to begin to do. But what happens is, what Joseph didn't realize, the more, even though they were his brothers, he kept going to them and talking to them and sharing his dreams. You may be sharing your goals. You may be sharing things with them that you would like to do. You're sharing your happiness with them. You're sharing your accomplishments with them like you should. With the family, you still think you can go to where they're at despite what they're doing. And Joseph, if you really read in chapter 37, you see that he went looking for his brothers. That's how he ended up getting caught. Despite how his brothers were treating him, he never thought that they would go that far, because he's probably thinking, my brothers wouldn't do that. So he goes looking for his brothers and said, where are my brothers? I seek my brethren. Tell me where they are. And so the man says, oh, they're over here. So Joseph goes with his heart completely open and not realizing these individuals that say that they're his family is going to do the unthinkable. They wanted to kill him. That's the thing that we got to realize here. They wanted to do something horrible. They wanted to murder him. That's how far their hatred for him had gone. But one or two, Jacob and Reuben, and Reuben was like, nah, let's not kill him. But see, even though they didn't want to do that much to him, they still were not, they didn't want to defend him. They wanted him gone. So Judah and Reuben, sometimes what you can do as family is that you will think because they did something good, that they're with you, but they're not. Just because Reuben said, let's not kill him, Reuben was still okay with them putting him in the pit. Just because Judah was like, no, let's just sell him. Let's not kill him, but let's sell him. You see, he didn't want them to kill him. He wanted them to take him out the pit, but take him out of the pit, but he was still okay with him being sold. And so those are the things that you have to be able to decipher with family. Because just because they're not doing the exact same thing or attacking you like the other ones, you have to kind of be able to discern that they still may want to see you go down. They still want to see your demise. They want you gone. But they may not want this particular thing to happen to you, but they share the same mindset regarding you. And so I'm sure it was not until Joseph was in that pit. Joseph is realizing that his brothers are not joking. They're really going to sell him. He had a lot to think about on that journey, being tied by his hands probably and walking behind the Ishmaelites and going and in this place and in this journey away, being sad. I wonder what he reflected on. And I guarantee you that he probably reflected on a lot of the things that you probably reflect on as you are either still being mistreated by your family, or now you're on your way, you're moving forward away from them. You reflect back on a lot of things. And this is a time that you can look back and think of all the warning signs. This is a time to stop trying to tell yourself that you're wrong. This is a time for you to stop listening and trying to apply things and principles that what people are saying. Like, there will be a lot of people that say, Joseph, those are still your family though. But they didn't know that they're going to throw him in a pit. And sometimes God allows things to happen in your life and allow you to be separated to keep you from that thing that you may not realize that your family or family members, relatives are planning to do. Sometimes your separation from them is to protect you from something that's in their heart. The Bible says the heart of man is desperately wicked. Who shall know it? And what God was saving Joseph from was murder. And what God saved Joseph from in selling him, allowing him to be sold, was to separate him from brothers who will plot, plan, strip him, talk about him, destroy him, and even murder him. Let's say perhaps Reuben would have said, all right, let's just take him out. We already, we've scared him enough. And he stayed. He could have stayed, but the bottom line is they plotted murder against him. He didn't know that, okay? But it's what's in their heart. So while sometimes your separation from your family may seem terrible and horrible, sometimes God is protecting you, okay? Now let's keep going here. So I'm not going to go through all of this, guys. I read you 37, 38. Let's see, right? So 37 and of Genesis and 38, we're reading about Joseph and how he's realizing, Potiphar's realizing he is in a great position in Egypt. He has him in his house. He realizes that Joseph is actually very smart. And so he wants him to work for him. Okay? And he does. He ends up working for him. He began to see that actually Potiphar was he was an officer to Pharaoh, and he was the captain of the guard. And so he had him in his home, and he began to realize more and more of what Joseph can do. So what does this mean? When you are separated from your family and you're moving ahead, You've got to now focus on what's before you and bettering yourself, regardless of your past and regardless of where you came from. Okay? So what does that mean? How are you going to deal with that? First of all is accepting the reality of this is what it is. Third of all is regardless of your hurt, your pain, and how much you feel let down by them, wherever you are right now, you must begin to put that behind you and do the best in bettering yourself as an individual, wherever that move or change in your life may bring you, wherever that may be. You know that you're here for now. It may not be the ideal circumstances, but you're not always going to be there. And so what you need to do is put your best foot forward, work with what you need to do what you need to do, behave yourself wisely. Rather than trying to lash out and tell what they did and do all these different things, perhaps sometime somewhere along your walk, you may need to speak about some things. But your best thing is to now work on bettering yourself. And so this is what happened with Joseph. He began to work in the house of Potiphar, and he began to do different things, okay? And he began to grow. And I'm sure in that, as he took control of what he could take control of, the favor of God was shining down on him, even though he may not have felt that at that time. But he didn't realize that things were going to change later on. So Joseph is there for some time. He goes through some different trials and tribulations. You know, Potiphar's wife, she wanted Joseph. She wanted to sleep with him. She was tempting him. He rejects her. She lies on him. He goes to prison. He is there for a while. He continues to do the right thing. He's able to interpret dreams because God gave him that wisdom. He's helping others. And one person promises that he's going to tell Pharaoh about him after he interprets his dream for him. The wine holder who is reinstated back to work with the Pharaoh, he does forget about Joseph. And sometimes along your path, when you are finding your way, you're going to run into people who you may help. They may mistreat you, and maybe you're wanting to think to yourself, it's probably better if I just was with my own family, because look at what I'm going through here. At least I was familiar with them. At least I was familiar with these group of people. But you have to understand that while you are moving forward, you are being prepared for this place that you're going to be standing solid and unshakable and immovable. So you will go through some things, but this is all a part of your healing. You have time to reflect on what's going on. You have time to reflect and think about what's happened. And in the meantime, sometimes you're going to encounter people who is going to hurt you in a way and disappoint you, that it's going to hurt the sensitive spot that's going to make you reflect back on your family. Either to think I better run back to them, or to just be bitter and just, everybody's like this. And you have a choice whether you want to get bitter and go rogue, or you continue to trust and move forward. Trust God and know that he's going to take you in the right direction, lead you in the right direction, and continue to do those practical things that you need to do to better yourself. So as we continue on here, Joseph continues to thrive and do what he needs to do. He was even made head of all the prisoners. He was given certain responsibilities because he had favor in the way he conducted himself regardless. And eventually Pharaoh has a dream. No one is able to interpret this dream, but Moses does. Joseph is the only one that is able to interpret the dream. And so because of this, Pharaoh now promotes him to second in command. Now Joseph is in an even higher position than all the people that threw him down there. His brothers, Potiphar's wife, he is now second in command. And this is the irony, guys, and why it's important that no matter what people may do to you, even though at times you may have to stand up for yourself, you may have to speak up. You don't allow yourself to be malicious and vindictive and hateful. Because if he had been malicious and vindictive and hateful and behaved himself in your kind of way, those prison guards wouldn't have put him in charge. If he had misbehaved and cursed and carried on, perhaps he would have been executed at the command of Potiphar instead of being put inside the jail. But what was going on, he continued to behave himself wisely. And he was of such a character that when Pharaoh, no one could interpret his dream, it was brought to his remembrance. The cup holder said, hey, the cupbearer, he says, I know a man. Why? He now remembers Joseph, and Joseph is brought before him. And now Joseph is second in command. And of course, Pharaoh's dream is a warning of a famine that was to come. I want you to know Pharaoh has that dream and no one is able to interpret it, because now it's time for Joseph to walk into his destiny, which was not only to give him the interpretation of the dream, but Joseph also had the knowledge and the wisdom in how to prepare the Egyptians for the 7 years of famine to come. I want you to know that when you aim and you focus on the practical things that you can do while trusting God to help you with your hurt and your pain and the things that your family has done, when you refuse to look back, regardless of the oppositions that you may face, God is going to help you. He's going to help you with the efforts you make in the natural. He's going to open doors for you that you normally could not open and never could open. There's no way that Joseph would have ever been able to do that on his own. And so now he is second in command. So what begins to happen now? There's a famine all in Egypt and in the surrounding areas. Well, Egypt is doing fine thanks to the plan that Joseph has on how to prepare for the years of famine. And guys, a story right here could even help us in saving money. So now what begins to happen? Let's keep going a little further. So now here's the famine has taken place. So the famine has taken place and there's just all this, everyone is coming from surrounding areas. And what begins to happen is the famine is also reaching Joseph's family. Okay? And if you read in verse 22, chapter 42 of Genesis, it says, now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, so now he's hearing that there's actually food being rationed out in Egypt, and Jacob is Joseph's father. Okay? He said unto his sons, why do you look upon one another? Like, why are you all just sitting here trying to figure out what to do? He says, behold, I have heard that there's corn in Egypt. Now go and buy for us that we will not die. Now, a lot of times with family, how can you know for sure that they are legit? How are you going to deal with this? Well, once they begin to show you who they are, you have to make that decision, whether you're going to stay there and die or find yourself being in worse situations with them, or now you're separated. Now you may be separated from them. How do you determine if they're safe? How do you know if you can really open doors? It's going to be their actions. Okay? Sometimes it's circumstances, situations that can bring them to you. Okay? But even in then, you have to know if they're being genuine. And what happens is God did not send Joseph from where he was at to go to them. He kept him where he was. Now, some people say, this is ironic. Why would he send Joseph there? He's there with the Egyptian that's worshiping the sun god. They're worshiping Ra. They're doing all these different things. But I'm telling you, God has a way of working. So that's why we have to be very, very careful how we open our mouth against people, because just because they're wearing Egyptians' clothes don't mean that they're not of God. Okay? Now, meaning just because the circumstances and where they're at, it seems a little bit unusual, God normally has a plan. All right? So here comes a famine. God does not put it in Joseph's heart to prepare something different, separate, and take it to them. No, they need to come to him, because something's going to hit them that's going to bring them to a place that they're going to have to come to Joseph, and they're going to have to humble themselves. And a lot of times you have to be able to witness the change within your family before you know that they're safe to bring to the promised land, safe to bring to your place of prosperity, place to bring to this place now where you're doing better, you're thriving now. And so you're going to see, if you read from chapter 42 and you read through chapter 43, you're going to see that there are a variety of tests that Joseph puts his brothers through before he reveals who he is. You can't show who you are, and you can't open up to family members that have betrayed you until they have shown you change. Okay? There's a scripture in the Bible that says, a person, when they repent, they have to show you fruit that is meat for their repentance. And meaning, when they say that they're sorry, you need to see action and change that clearly shows you that this person has changed. So Joseph he did some tests. They did not recognize him. They haven't seen him in a long time. He was 17 years old.
By that I mean he was 17 years old at the time that they sold him. Let's continue.
And if they don't recognize him, I'm led to believe not only that has Joseph grown up, it's been a few years. It's been at least in probably over 7 years, because Joseph was interpreting a dream of well, I don't know how old Joseph was, but we know at least there's going to be 7 years of famine. Okay, so we know 7 years of famine has happened or is happening, and we don't know what's happened in between that time. We know he was 17 years old. We don't know the time frame that it took before he was brought out of the prison to go to see the Pharaoh. But now we also know that Joseph, it's been at least 7 years of a famine. So we don't know at what point this has started and to what degree. 4 years in, 3 years in, they don't recognize Joseph. And another reason why they may not recognize him is because he is in Egyptian regalia. They put all kinds of stuff on their face. He's grown up now. He looks different. He perhaps does not have, I don't know if he had hair on his face at 17 years old, but for the men of Israel, they will have beards, long hair, and Joseph does not have that. I assume that his hair is cut short, and he's wearing what they wear. He's grown up, so they don't recognize him, but he did not forget them. And I want to let you know that when you're dealing with family conflict and when they hurt you, as you begin to transform and grow, as you set your hands to do what you know to do the best that you can, and God begins to open doors for you, they're not going to recognize you. Now, granted, they're going to know it's your face. They're going to know it's you. But they're not going to recognize your growth. They're not going to recognize your ability to stay where you are because they're used to running to them. They may not be able to recognize your silence because they're used to you arguing. They're not able to recognize your maturity and your restraint because they're used to being able to bring you into this place of being being out of character. They're used to you just being a certain way, so they don't recognize you. And sometimes they don't like it, because they want to remind you, this little person right here. They still have a mindset. They still have some things in their mind where they're remembering you when you was the little kid they used to be able to knock around. They remember you being you. They remember you as a person that, when you did this wrong thing, when you did this, and when you weren't like this, and when you did that, and when you peed the bed, and they still keep you in this box. And God's going, no, I'm taking you outside of the box. You may have been a troublesome child. There may be things that you did. You did things that were wrong. But God's not going to keep you there. He's like, okay, you did wrong. Joseph, you was talking a little bit too much, telling other things. But God always sees something inside of you. He knows you mean no harm. Joseph went from being a tattletale 17-year-old running around, not doing whatever his brothers are doing. He's definitely not working in the fields. He's not doing those things. But God was going to catapult him to become a ruler that's going to save everybody. So sometimes as parents, let's take this as a learning curve as well, that do not demonize your children where they are right now as they're growing. You see, because God has a way of taking the little tattletale, probably lazy little Joseph, okay, just saying, perhaps, And now he's going to become brilliant. He's going to be very smart. He's going to grow. He's going to blossom into whom he needs to be, and he's going to go higher. So it's important that when they're in that stage, they're in your life, that you don't destroy what's in them. Because there are lots of children, they never get to become who they need to be because their parents are their nemesis. Their family are their worst nemesis. And so this is why, getting back to what I'm saying with family conflict, is when you see your family is being your nemesis, you have to save yourself. You got to get out of there or they will destroy you. So they don't recognize Joseph. He's grown up, and what happens now, he does a series of testings. And they saw that now there's another brother. I forgot his name. I want to say it was Benjamin, I think. And Joseph's like, we're going to keep this one. I'm going to keep him. And you guys need to bring me whatever. I can't remember everything. But there's a series of tests to keeping the little brother, to putting a golden wine, putting a cup inside their bags of food. There are some things that are done in order for Joseph to see that his brothers are actually changed and they're not the same individuals. Once that series of testings happen and he sees a change, now Joseph is able to be vulnerable again with them. He is able, if you look further down, you're able to see that now Joseph begins to weep. See, Joseph was being very hard on them before, but once they show that they are genuine and they have changed, Joseph now can become vulnerable with them again and begins to cry. He begins to reveal who he is to them. And so with that being said, Joseph could have taken that time to really get back at his brothers. But that's the part of healing. When you put what's behind you and you move forward and you put your hand and behave yourself wisely, you don't go back to get them. Joseph could have at that point sent his chariots to kill them. These are the ones that tried to kill me. Put them in prison. Let them go through what I did. But he did not harbor bitterness and pain and hatred. I imagine that even though it's not all written here, that Joseph had encounters with God where he cried, he poured out, he was angry, he was scared, he was sometimes just indifferent, sometimes he was just can't even think, but nevertheless it never interfered with him doing his job to his best ability. And then what he did in the practical, God opened doors for him in the supernatural, so that he could get opportunity. He brought him down the path of individuals that were going to help him. Even those who thought that they were harming him, they didn't realize they were helping him. His brothers thought they were harming him, but they were preparing him. Potiphar's wife thought that she was hurting him, but she was preparing him for the position that he was going to be in. So now Joseph can be vulnerable with his family. And now he's able to open up the doors, and he's able to now, with the blessing of the Pharaoh, he's able to bring them all from the land of poverty to the land of plenty. And they thrived and they did well and they were happy, and his father saw him again, so on and so forth. And Joseph was there up until the day that he died. And when he died, before he died, one of the things he wanted them to do was to take his bones out of Egypt when the Israelites left. So Joseph was already seeing ahead that they were not always going to be there. So let's see how this ties to you. I hope you followed me so far. How do you deal with family members who are betraying you? Number one, you have to come to terms with that this is what it is. Because a lot of times it's not going to be one isolated incident. As family, we can all make mistakes and do things that's wrong. We're going to have ups and downs, highs and lows. We'll disappoint each other. But there is a line that you're going to know Your family member should not always be trying to hurt you. We go through different phases in our lives where we may just do things, your teens, whatever, misunderstanding. You're just going to hurt each other as family. Things are going to happen, but there should be a desire as a family, like, we're going to make this right. We're going to come together. We're going to talk about this. I love you. They want to believe the best in you. They want to find the best in you, pull out the best in you. They're going to be there. They love you. There is no desire to hurt you or harm you or to get you back. But when you have a family member who, based on hurt or stuff like that, they want to hurt you, harm you, they want to get you back for something, and they're holding on to something against you, and they can really embarrass you and hurt you and make you cry, and they're okay with it, and they like to see you hurt. Something has happened here. This is the difference. And so we talked about the beginnings of what was going on with Joseph's brother. There was something, they held on to it, they kept it, they harbored it, they began to brood on it, they began to conspire against him, and now they began to put things in action to hurt him. They want to kill him. And so you have to come to terms with what happened. So when now he had to be apart from them, you have to understand that when you have family like that, when you are given the ability to and the opportunity, sometimes you're going to get that chance to be gone and be away from them. And what you do during that time away, you can sit there and think about everything and keep going on Facebook and looking at what they're doing and being bitter and being mad and destroying people you meet and telling people your story about what happened to you and just being mad all the time and getting into arguments with them. Or you can take that time and distance to now better yourself, sorting out all that hurt and pain that's within you, but moving forward and behaving yourself wisely, not doing what they're doing. And when the change comes and the opportunity comes, you may find, they may need you for something. Now there's a famine in the land. And so this is where your discernment kicks in. Just like there's a series of tests and things that Joseph did. Now, I'm not saying you need to test them to see this or that, or literally do what Joseph did, set up scenarios to set them up to see if they're really genuine. No, what I'm telling you is you are going to, in order, before you open up that door, they need to be the ones that's coming and showing you that they desire to change. And then you watch their fruit before you just jump in. You allow God to give you the discernment so you can see by their fruit if they're genuine. And if they're genuine, then you know through wisdom that you can now be vulnerable with them. Now you can open the door. Now you can introduce have your family around them, your children, your husband, your wife, your friends, the person who entrusted you. Okay, in this case, it would have been Pharaoh, because Pharaoh basically allowed them to come based on his rapport with Joseph. So you don't want to open your door and let some family members in, and somebody who you've built rapport with, someone who you have built a good relationship with, a good business relationship with. You open up the door and a family member comes in who is on change, who still has that entitled attitude, come in and destroy your connections, cause trouble, cause problems in your house. So this is why there needs to be an absolute concrete evidence of change. And as you can see, it was not just one thing, not two things. There are things that we read about here in the Bible, and it seems like boom, 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 boom. It just happened right away. Maybe not. Maybe it will take some time. And when they come, because you have not spent your time being hateful and bitter, you're going to be able to see them very clearly if they're genuine or not. And other times when God is leading you, God will tell you yes or no, what to do. Some family members, you will be able to be reconciled to them again after you have seen fruits that shows that they have truly changed. That means evidence. And then others, you're going to have to keep the door closed, because you'll see that they're not changed. You see, they'll try to come to the place that you're at right now where you've been established and try to bring you down. You have some family members, they want to shame you. You're doing well now. You're doing well in your life. They want to bring humiliation. They want to remind you of the time you ate that dirty bologna sandwich that fell on the floor. They want to remind you of when they caught you in the bushes with this guy or this girl. They want to remind you of when you used to rob and steal. They want to remind you of when, remember you had to go to summer school because you weren't that smart. They want to remind you of certain things. They want to use threats to make you feel like you have to do what they say to do. And they will try to also throw the parent role at you. I'm your mom, I'm your dad, I'm your this, I'm your that. But ironically, they willingly step out of that role as a parent to do hurtful things to you, to disappoint you, to cut your throat, to cut you off at the knees, and then jump back into parent role to say, you can't touch me. You wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you? Now, of course, we know you're not going to hit your parent. You shouldn't. But what I'm saying is they jump back into, they get out to do harmful and wicked things as mom, dad, brother, sister. And then they put on that role again when you have to make tough decisions. Perhaps you have to say, I'm leaving. Perhaps you have to cut it off. Now the argument is, how could you do that to your family? How could you do that to this person? But they didn't think that way when they continued to do certain things to you. And so when they have that same attitude, you can't bring them back in. And you have to look at it. You're not doing anything that is against them. But you have to look at where God brings you to, whether it's home, a new home, you have a relationship, you have your own children now, or whatever you're doing in the community. When God blesses you, you have the responsibility to have good stewardship. That means you are responsible, you take care, and you protect, and you guard what God has given you. I'll tell you, I love cars. I have a car. And so what do? I take care of my car. I have good stewardship of it. Okay? I wash it, I clean it, I take it to the dealership, get it taken care of. Now I have to take it. It's got a little, I turn too close to something, so at the very, very bottom of the thing, it's got a little scratch on there. So now I know, I got to take it to get it painted. I'm not knocking people that you can't do that, okay? If you can't do it, you can't. But if you can, take it to get painted. Why? Because the paint has been compromised. And a lot of times, if the paint has been compromised, then rain and all the stuff's going to get in those areas, and then it starts to spread. It starts to peel the paint away, okay? So I need to take care of that before it spreads, even though it's like in a little tiny spot. You really can't see it. But good stewardship is doing that. God blesses you with children. Good stewardship, okay? You need to take care of your children. Souls, feed them. Do good. They're going to grow, spring forth, do their own thing, be able to make their own food, make you some stuff too. You grow together. So whatever it is that God gives you, you have to realize that the stewardship of that is very important, and it goes beyond family ties. So you have a responsibility. When Joseph was made second in command from the Pharaoh and he put on the ring of Pharaoh, he could not just break ranks and be like, oh, that's my brothers, that's my sisters, let me just run, it's me, pull off whatever that thing is they wear on their head. No, he had to use wisdom. He recognized them, but he had his, like what the Bible says, it says to guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. It also tells you in the proverb, only a fool utters all that's in his heart. It also tells you that someone could be before you saying, eat, drink, but inside their heart, their drawn swords. So he had wisdom. Joseph had grown, not only in stature, not only in age, not only in position, but he was wise because of the things that he went through, because of the things that he experienced, because of how he created distance. And because that distance was created not the way he wanted to, if at all, but the distance, and he was now in a place where he had to grow and thrive, and he went through some things, but he still kept his focus. Now he had grown in wisdom that even when he saw them, he did not react emotionally. He did not react in anger. He knew what he needed to do in order to see if they had changed, and if it was safe for him to really get vulnerable with them, and if it was safe for him to open up the doors to them. He was not going to just immediately introduce his brothers to his wife. He was not automatically going to introduce his brothers to his children, because he had children. He was married at that point. He was not going to bring them into the secret places. He was not going to automatically bring them into his private chambers and into his place until he knew that he can trust them. And you have that right. And sometimes you can bring them in, and other times you're not going to be able to do it. Because now when you see that they're not changing, they're still continuing in the same way, you're going to know. They may for a while at first try to act as if they're changed. But when they see that you're not going to just open up the doors like you normally do, and you're taking your time, they'll lash out. They'll say something to you. Whether it's, oh, you think you're all that, or whether they sent you, so you can't do this. They cannot help themselves. Or they still throw in little grenades at you, trying to destroy you and things of that nature. Or you may invite them to something and you see they're still being nasty. They're still trying to get things out of you. You know, it's not safe for you to bring them around your family. And so sometimes you're going to have to completely close that door. And there's nothing wrong with that. Society may say, oh, how could you do that? But normally, I'm telling you, it's normally two people that would tell you that. Society where they have great relationships with their family, so they have no clue, and you can't be mad at them. They don't know, so they can't imagine it. Or number two, the types that they have just fallen in and allow themselves to be drowned in the toxicity. They know how to argue, they know how to ignore, they know how to play the toxic game, and they're just going, hey, the devil I know is better than the devil I don't know. Okay? And so that's going to be it. And you just have to be okay with that, because God is going to lead you in the right direction. So sometimes when you have to close that door, now you have to focus on the family that you have to safeguard them from those type of family members, and just pray and hope through the guidance of God and how you nurture them and you correct them and you balance them, that now they grow up in understanding how to deal with conflict and not continue that lineage of toxicity. Because family toxicity starts somewhere. It's something that somebody just left open and they just kept doing it and saying it's okay, and they just kept doing it. A lot of times family members, let's start with parents. The parents are doing certain things. They've been doing it before you were born. They've had every opportunity and warning to stop doing what they're doing. They've heard it before, but they've just got better at what they're doing. So by the time you're born, they are well seasoned in it, and you think it's normal. So that's why you just conform to it until eventually your eyes begin to open up and they begin to treat you a certain way. Siblings, sometimes you may feel as if you are in solidarity with them, right? Because you're both experiencing the same things, whatever it may be. You're going through highs and lows. You're living in the same house. It may be a toxic house, or, it seems pleasant, but it can still be toxic. Don't think toxicity is just, oh, things are bad. Toxicity, you can be in a beautiful house with everything and it's still toxic. But what happens, you're going to have more compassion and more understanding for your sibling, because you're like, we're in this together, or we're the same age, you remember certain things. But remember, you must not ignore what is there, what they show you over time. And that's what Joseph did. He ignored something and thought he was safe to go and just be with his brothers, which he was supposed to. But they were plotting some things in their heart. And it started first with that seed that they allowed to germinate. So how do you deal with it as I end this video? Recognize it. Be okay with a separation. Be okay with a process. Do your best and continue to move forward and allow God to heal your hurt and pain. Do not open your doors again to anybody without you seeing a genuine change. You don't go back. They come to you. Because what's going to happen is they're showing you they have the willingness to elevate themselves and come up higher. I'm not saying that God can't do something unusual and say, hey, I want you to go here and do this. But 9 times out of 10, when you have this type of individual, God is going to protect you. And they must get to a place that they allow him to deal with their heart, where they can come to you and they can say, I am sorry. Please forgive me. I should not have done this. When you see that they are changed through their actions, not words, now and only then can you open up your doors again. Now and only then can they now get access to your family. Now and only then that they can have access to your friends and associates. But if not, don't do it. And you're not a bad brother. You're not a bad sister. You're not a bad person, son or daughter, for doing that. Because the Bible says, whatever you sow, you reap. And I want you to understand that the office of a parent is something that they should take seriously. That's why the Bible says, while it says, children, obey your parent in the Lord, it also says, and it says to honor your mother and your father. It also tells the fathers not to provoke your children to wrath, lest they be discouraged. And it's not just fathers, but mothers too. So I'm not here to promote hate. I'm not here to promote hating on your parents. But I want to give you a full scope and picture of you understanding that sometimes separation is for your protection. Separation is to keep you from losing your mind. Separation is to keep you from losing your entire sense of being. Separation is also to prepare your family and to take them away from the chaos and show them something different. And you have to face the reality of where you're at. Not just any little thing, guys. As family, you're going to go through things, but you know the difference, and I've explained it today. And sometimes you're going to be able to reconcile, and other times you're going to have to keep the doors closed. They're not reaching out. They don't care. They're not whatever. Keep moving forward. You don't have to ask questions. It shows you they don't care. If they really want to if they saw themselves as doing wrong and whatever, then they will change. They'll reach out to you, not with that half thing. Oh, if you took it personally, if you said, I apologize, that's how you feel. No. True repentance, you'll see fruit of it. You'll see a difference. They'll pour out before you. You'll know. And if they're not willing to do that, let them stay where they are and focus on your family. Focus, you may not have children. Focus on the people that you're going to meet in your life. You may not be a husband or a wife, but they're people whose lives that you can influence in some way. I hope this makes sense to somebody. The Bible says in Matthew 19:29, he who has forsaken mother and father and brother and sister and husbands and wives and cattle and lands for my sake shall receive 100-fold in eternal life. And the Bible says in Psalm 27:10, even when my mother and my father forsake me, the Lord will take me up. So whether it's your mother or your father, your brother or your sister, your auntie or your uncle, your cousins, whoever, when they forsake you, God is going to take you up. When they betray you, God is going to take you up. And there are some situations where you're going to have to walk away. Walk away, or they will destroy you. And there's nothing wrong with that. And you don't have to go through your life trying to explain to people what happened with your family and what happened with this, because people a lot of times don't understand it. But when your steps are ordained by God, he'll bring you around people where they'll understand. And it won't be a bitter group of people that y'all can sit around and complain and cuss y'all family out and carry on. What you want to do is always behave yourself wisely. You can still honor your parents. God allowed you to be born to them. You honor their positions. You honor the office that they hold. But you do not allow them to bring you down. And there's a way to do that. You can honor their position without allowing yourself to be destroyed by that darkness they have within them. The same thing goes for siblings. Check out my video. It's called Maternal Cannibalism. Maternal Cannibalism. If you put that in the search engine, make sure you're on my channel. You put it in my search engine, it will pull up. They also have another one that's called Jealous Mothers. I have a lot of stuff. Look at my playlist. It's called Toxic Families. Because the biggest thing is, guys, your family relations. It can affect the way you relate to other people. And when you're a believer in the Lord, it can really affect the way you see God, and it can affect the way you deal with other people, and it can affect your walk in Christ. It can affect your vision, your spiritual vision, what God wants you to do. If you allow yourself to be hung up in that, if you allow society to dictate to you, oh, you can't leave, oh, this is wrong, oh, this is what you're supposed to do, or you go too far and become this evil vigilante against your family. You don't want to do that. So thank you so much if you listened this far with me. I pray that this video has brought some clarification on some things, and you can go ahead and read in further detail about Joseph from Genesis 37 on. If I said Moses in between, I meant Joseph. All right, guys. Peace.